So listen, we put out a pod a couple days ago. The DA, Sandra Doorley, was attempted to be pulled over by an officer in the Webster, New York Police Department, Officer Crisafulli. She was attempted to be pulled over, failed to adhere to his emergency equipment, as you know, drove off, drove to her house, not only drove to her house, ends up pulling into her enclosed garage, attached garage. And then we all know that the video that has circulated not only locally, but it has hit the national syndicates. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the video was shocking. It was very disappointing. It was really hard to watch. And I think it's a really big open question if she's going to survive this. I think she's got to take questions from the public, meaning the media, and she's got to explain what happened here. And she needs to explain to the public how she can go to work every day and be trusted to uphold our laws in an equal fashion. Because the double standards have a lot of people, including myself, extremely concerned about her ability to go to work. Is the person who was in that garage that day the same person who is our district attorney? If it's not, explain to us why it's not. And we just learned today that the governor has referred this case to a new commission on prosecutorial misconduct. Only the governor can remove the district attorney pending an investigation. So this is sort of the first step in doing an investigation to see if she should be removed and what that recommendation will be. So I think Sandra Doorley has to make some decisions here, and if she wants to go through that process, if she wants to resign first. I think the calls for her to resign, I think, are appropriate. I could also see her not resigning and waiting for that to happen. So I just think it's a shame. I just was really, really upset when I saw that video. It's like, what were you thinking?
Explain to our audience, because you had explained it to us. Because we had gotten, after we'd done the pod, we had got a bunch of comments. I actually self-admittedly said, I don't know if there's a judicial arm. I don't know what the ramifications for me.
Yeah, so
could you explain that to our viewers?
I had a big question too. Is she still in any legal jeopardy here, right? Like, could she face other charges? Like, does she face any other legal jeopardy? But here's the big question. Under the New York State Constitution, the only person who can discipline a district attorney is the governor.
Okay.
And there's a process for that. The governor can essentially choose how she wants to investigate the district attorney, but there has to be an investigation and specific charges before removal. And the governor today took the first step in that process, which is referring the case to this Commission on Prosecutorial Misconduct. Now, I have to look that up and see what are the remedies that I'm sure they could suggest removal, but perhaps they do a censure. Maybe they do something else. I don't know. And so there's a lot of questions about process.
So the process, but some of the comments that were in our feed on our pod, both on our website and through our social media outlets, a lot of people were talking about the New York State Attorney General's office.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. All these people asking for the New York State Attorney General to investigate didn't read the Constitution. That is, she could investigate, but only if the governor made
at the direction
of referral.
Okay.
And the governor did not make that referral. The governor made the referral to this new commission.
Yeah, that's a point of clarification that I wanted to make, and we talked about it off camera, and I wanted you to explain to our viewers that, because like I said, when we did the pod, David and I did it, I actually did not know that. One of the points that you made, and that was made relative to some of the things, the comments that were made on our pod and our comment section, and some of the private emails that we got were in addition to what you have said, but her main demographic, in addition to the community, is the police officers, right? Because she's the highest ranking law enforcement official in the county. Can those in law enforcement feel comfortable with her being at the helm? I'm not saying this to...
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's lost the trust of a number of groups, but I think Listen, I think one thing that went through the minds of a lot of people is, would a black man have been given that grace by that police officer? Probably not. I mean, we see this all the time. We see people not complying and getting arrested or worse. And that was on the minds of so many people when they saw that video, was the privilege that she had to just walk away that a lot of people don't have.
I don't think that, and I will say this from a cop's viewpoint, and I'm not saying that you're doing it, but race in that situation would not have mattered to law enforcement. Race and sex would not have mattered.
That's not the perception.
Right. Yeah. Well, I will tell you this. I will tell you from my brothers and sisters. I'll tell you from our standpoint, because I was in private text messages and conversations with people. It didn't matter if that person was a black person, a white person, a Hispanic person. It didn't matter if it was a male or a female. I don't think it was a matter of white privilege. I think it was a matter of her position, because from a safety standpoint, and we said that on a pod, it's the most dangerous things that traffic stop. There's no way we would allow somebody to go walking back and forth. And I'm not saying anything against Christopher Foley, because he did a great job. It was because of her position that she was allowed to go to and fro in her house, inside and out of that car, in the glove box, out of the glove box. That's a huge no-no. And I will tell you right now, unequivocally, speaking for my brothers and sisters, that officer did a great job, because unfortunately it became a political situation at that point.
Of course it did.
Okay, 100%. However, if that political situation was removed, I'll tell you right now, seeing how professional the Webster Police Department were, they would have been even just as professional if she wasn't who she was, but they would have been detained and placed in the back of a car. So I don't want to, and I'm not trying to debate this with you, but I want to be very clear. It didn't matter from our brothers and sisters standpoint, black, white, Hispanic, male or female. David even said it, in our situations boom, we have to control the situation. If we don't control the situation has the potential to go out of control.
That makes sense. But I also think that when you look at policing overall, we have to acknowledge racial disparities that exist, and that perception as well. So, I do think whether it's warranted or not, it is part of this discussion necessarily for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, and again, we're not going to belabor the point, but
I understand what you're saying.
But I mean, in Monroe County, there was more white guys there than there is when I used to patrol Joseph Avenue, right?
Well, we'll see what she has to say about this. I think she will have something to say.
If you were her comms team, if you were on,
oh geez, I would have handled this completely differently. I mean, for one thing, that statement that she put out before the video came out was completely, it was so lacking to be dishonest. I would have sat her down and said, what exactly happened? And you try to get in front of it, knowing that this video would come out. Like, how did she not know? I mean, you just really try to get in front of it and apologize before the public sees it and brace the public for this horrible thing that you're about to see. And instead, she just raised more questions about it, and it came off as dishonest. And then, now that the video's out, it's horrible. And so, from a comms perspective, you do anything from, well, what do you want to have happen here? Do you want to ride this out? And if so, you have to address it. Do you want to resign? Do you think that's the best for you and your family and your life right now? Then maybe you should consider that. But if you want to ride this out, then I strongly suggest just taking your medicine, getting up there and taking the arrows and taking those questions from the media. I think it's going to be inevitable that she'll have to do that. And look, I mean, it's just a terrible situation, and I don't know if she's going to survive it. I just don't. I really don't.